Hey guys, it's Casey, and I'm here for another DC update. And this one is coming to you back from March, even though it's April right now. I'm gonna report on things that happened in March because I realized I just never made the videos, and there was a lot that happened last month. So I'm just gonna get started. The first thing was spring break. This was right after I'd made the last video about what had happened during St. Patrick's Week. And Alabama had their spring break during that week, and so I had a friend come up and visit. And so my friend Rob from Alabama, and then my friend Jessica had her friend Jenna come up. And so the four of us all hung out that weekend of that spring break and did a lot of really cool stuff together. Uh, the first thing that we did was that night we all went out to this restaurant called America inside Union Station. And the cool thing about America is that you can request to sit in the Capitol Room, which is, I guess it's the fourth tier of seating, maybe. Not the fourth tier. There's like the bottom level, and there's like a mid level, and there's the third level, and it's got its like own bar and everything like that. But when you sit in the Capitol Room, on one side you can see look down into Union Station, and there's like these big statues that are there. So whenever you go to Union Station, you can see these huge things that almost look like angels with shields, and so you can look down at the crowds that way. But if you look the other way, you have a direct line of sight to the Capitol lit up at night, which is really beautiful. So that's just kind of a fun place to go to, see the Capitol all lit up like that. And the food's not bad either. So I enjoyed that meal, and I think they all did too. So that was what we did on the first night as far as restaurant eating goes. The next day we got up and went to Madame Toussaint's Wax Museum. This is the second time I've been to a wax museum in my life, and I must say, people think they're really creepy, but honestly, they're really, really fun. Especially if you have people that, really get into like taking pictures with all the different like mannequins and stuff like that. So this one was really heavy, of course, on the presidents. So it had all of the presidents, all the way from Washington, all the way to Obama and Michelle. So that was really cool just to go through. And they had different settings. Like for the Kennedys, they had like a background that had a plain tarmac, and you could put on costumes. Now that was kind of different from the first one I had gone to. Was in London, and so they had a lot of celebrities and a lot of just different kinds of TV icons and things like that. But this one had, of course, the presidents, and they had costumes, which I'd never done before. So with Washington, you could sit in the boat and put on this like this navy blue and red jacket, and wear the same outfit he was, or you could sit and you could sit with President Lincoln in the box and wear like a tuxedo type jacket. And so with the Kennedys, you could put on these fur jackets and kind of, hang off the arm of the president. So that was so much fun, I have to say. Like, because when you get in there, like, you don't really know what it's going to be like, I guess, till you try it the first time. But they're playing loud music. Everyone's just running around to each of the figures, and they're taking pictures. So of course I love the celebrities. They had The Rock and Will Smith. Let's see who else they had. J-Lo, Michael Jackson, Britney Spears, the Jonas Brothers. That was really funny. Robert Pattinson. That was fun. And okay, I like Twilight. I'm just gonna say it. Anyways, and they also had sports figures. They had Babe Ruth. They had Tiger Woods. Well, I didn't get a picture with Tiger. Sorry, Tiger. And who else do they have? They had, well, and going back to the presidents, they had Bill and Hillary Clinton. So, anyways, if you've never been to a wax museum, I do think it's an experience that everyone should try at least once in their lives. It's wild, but it's really fun. Later on, we went to the Crime and Punishment Museum. There was a Groupon deal where you could get like half off or whatever. So we did that, and that museum, there's just so much to read. Like, it was just it was really interesting. Like, I would have never considered going if there hadn't been like a discount for this, but I really actually enjoyed it. There was a lot of really interesting things to read about, just different kinds of, villains and things like that. And um, so, it's just interesting too to read about, like, oh, who was it? Uh, Betsy and Clyde, I think it was. Just kind of about their lives. They had the car that they had gotten away in, and it had like bullet holes all through it. And so that was really cool. It's not something I would have normally done. I would not have normally thought to do, but I enjoyed it. And I wish I'd had more time to go through and read all of that stuff. But anyways, we also hit up Georgetown as well. We tried to get into DC Cupcakes. It wasn't happening. There was too long of a line. But we did go to the university, and we actually this time went inside the university. I'd been on campus before, but it was neat to go in there, and they have in their theater, they have all these different kinds of what's it called, plaques, I guess, kind of around the room, made out of wood, and shields. Excuse me, that's what I meant to say, or kind of like crest. And I actually had one from Mobile, Alabama. So that was really cool. I'm not really sure what all that was supposed to represent. Maybe different students that had come to the university. I'm not really sure, but it was really cool to see that. And so that was that. That was kind of that was the gist of kind of what we had done that weekend. We had gone and done other sightseeing things, things that I've told you about before, but those are a few things that are a little bit different. We also went to the Supreme Court, which was really cool. My class and I did, not for the spring break thing. Later on that week, we went to the Supreme Court, and what was really fun about that was we all got out there, and there was like 200 people standing in line for this, and my teacher calls us over, and so we get out of line, and we kind of get to break in front of everybody because we were guests of the court of Clarence Thomas. And so we had reserved seating, so we kind of got to go by in front of everybody, kind of wave like, "Hey," as we walked on through in front of everyone to go to the hearings. So went through security, and you cannot take anything in that place except for pen and paper, and that you go through at least like 2 different security checks, and they have little lockers that you can put all of your stuff in. So we waited in line, and we literally got there. We were kind of running behind a little bit, but we got there with maybe like a minute or so to spare, and we all got in our seats, and the justices came in. We all stood up, we all sat down, and they went to work on presenting the cases. And we heard 2 cases that day. We heard Turner versus Price, and we also heard JDB versus North Carolina. Turner versus Price was about a man that had not been paying child support, and he had been thrown in jail. And the kind of question was, should he get counsel? Should he get representation when the woman of his child wouldn't get any representation? And is that fair? And so there are a lot of different dilemmas that they were discussing. Is it a civil case? Is it a criminal case? So that was kind of interesting to hear about that, and just the whole process itself. The justices, actually, we were told later, we met with the court clerks, Clarence Thomas's court clerks, and he is well known for not speaking ever in court. The last known case of him speaking was maybe like 5 years ago, and he didn't even talk. He just laughed out loud. So that day, though, the justices were apparently really in question asking mode. Normally, apparently, they just kind of sit back and they ask a few questions, but they let the cases be presented. Well, that day, I mean, they were like coming out of their chair asking lots and lots of questions. They weren't even really letting the lawyers speak that much. So that was apparently a different dynamic from the way it normally is. The other case, JBD versus North Carolina, was about a 13-year-old that was not read his Miranda rights. And it kind of came down to, in what situation should he have been read his Miranda rights? Did he know he was allowed to leave and that he didn't have to answer any questions? And it kind of calls into I guess, question, how old should you be before you should be read your Miranda rights, and do you fully understand, what's being asked of you and what the consequences of this are if you do or do not answer the questions. So these two cases were really social work oriented, we thought, and it was kind of very it was a great day to go and hear them, and it was great for us as social work students. So, anyways, that was really cool. And afterwards, we got to walk around and see a little more of the Supreme Court. And yeah, it was a fun day. I didn't know what to expect, and it was just really cool to be there in that room and to kind of watch history happening. So, yeah, that's all for now. And I hope y'all have a wonderful day since I just made y'all watch this for 10 and a half minutes. I'm going to stop this now. Bye.